East Longmeadow welcomes a new interim town administrator. We take a look at the hiring process along with the selected candidate's second day on the job.
Plus, we cover the Charter Commission 2-hour-long meeting as they prepare for the January 7th public hearing.
Also coming up, local stars. See what EL natives are getting attention in the media.
And later, an interview with the EL Public Library Director. Find out how she doubled circulation and increased program attendance.
Plus, we give you new events for the new year.
Those stories and much more ahead on ELCAT News Update.
Good evening, I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Ellie Carrington.
We begin tonight with a new interim town administrator. At the December 22nd Board of Selectmen meeting, 4 candidates were interviewed to replace Greg Moyer, who recently resigned. After the interviews were conducted, the board discussed the candidates' strengths and weaknesses. It was a unanimous vote. Another Greg will take the stand. Former West Springfield Mayor Greg Neffinger will now serve as East Longmeadow's interim town administrator.
1 out of 10 at Greg Neffinger. I gave him a 9. I didn't think any of them deserved a 10 because I think they have something to learn about East Longmeadow yet. And what I liked about him, he asked for cuts in the budget, which I definitely think we should be doing in East Longmeadow. He's done 3 town reports, he said. And the thing I liked the best, which that's what I ran for, was he lowered taxes.
What in your past experience do you view your greatest achievement or contribution to the town where you have served?
Well, I was very proud of lowering taxes for 2 years in a row. There were many people who said it couldn't be done, and I really felt that we went into the budget and we really looked at many things. Now, some of them weren't really actual department so much reductions, but one of them was the health insurance, because West Springfield's self-funded, but East Longmeadow is not. Is that right? Do you have a policy, or are you self-funded?
We're actually part of the Scantic Valley Regional Health Trust.
Sure. So we had our own trust, per se, which we were overfunding about $1 million a year. I brought in a new consultant who said that if you bought a catastrophic policy, which costs, I think, like $150,000 a year, we were able to reduce that by $1 million a year. So, because if we didn't have that, we needed that extra $1 million in case, because we were self-funded. So, right away, we found $1 million we could take out of the budget there.
I liked about him, he is willing to be a team player, which, you know, some of the others never mention that, you know, and being from a mayor's position, the question you asked Angela about how could you transition from a mayor down to
the follow-up.
I thought he gave a good answer as far as that, you know.
Do you foresee any challenges working and answering to the Board of Selectmen as opposed to being the person in charge?
Actually, you know, a friend said to me, Greg, you're a great mayor, but you're a horrible politician. I look forward to doing the administrative part and really, again, being your eyes and ears. I look at it as you're the coach and I'm the quarterback, and you guys give me the direction.
That we offer Greg Neffinger the temporary month-to-month position of our town administrator.
Neffinger started immediately. Tuesday's Board of Selectmen meeting marked Neffinger's second day on the job, where he prepared a presentation of general updates for the board.
We've been meeting with department heads and we're trying to get the budget together. And so we've been reviewing those, but also we have from my office 10 different budgets that need to be submitted: celebration, health insurance, human resource, liability insurance, and a few others. So we're hoping that we'll have those together. Also discussing with the accountant that we'd like to put in a place. Any cash that comes in is done through the treasurer's office, and the clerk said that we can put credit card readers in places that are more remote, but places like building department and things like that, they can go to the town clerks, pay for their building permits, and then bring that receipt back to the building department, so that people are handling less cash. And that was an issue that she had brought up to me that she thought was important to handle.
That Board of Selectmen meeting covered a lot of ground. A generous donation for the East Long Meadow Fire and Police Station.
In our dealings with Bay Path University, they've been a wonderful neighbor, and they've brought a lot to the table, even though technically they didn't have to. And just to let you know, they'd sent, I know you got this note, but I figure just to read it in, it says, as a new member of the East Long Meadow community, we're pleased to support the East Long Meadow Fire Department with a $1,000 donation to fund a special piece of equipment or professional development opportunity. Please know that your department has provided our Philip H. Ryan Health Science Center with outstanding service and support during this past year. Please accept our sincere thanks and best wishes to you and your staff for a happy, healthy new year. So
Thank you.
they're,
They were pretty accommodating to most of the stuff we had. We were doing our initial inspections. Everything went well. The contractor, their liaisons from the campus themselves. Whenever we've had an alarm there, they're actually, their security staff, if they're not at that building, they respond fairly quickly from their campus in Long Meadow. So it's good to have a company like that has that ability, and people or an institution that we can work with.
I'd like to propose a motion to accept this $1,000 donation from Bay Path University.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Good news for the fire station does not stop there. Fire Chief Paul Morissette requests approval to begin the hiring process for call firefighters. Morissette gets a head start in the process for hopes that the necessary paperwork will be completed by May 2016.
So we need to keep new blood coming through the system. You guys have been to a few graduations now. You know the process. You've heard the deputy fire marshal or the director of the academy speak in regards to the amount of time these candidates put through the program. It's just a little bit of time to put some notices out there, see if the people in town are interested, get some names, conduct interviews probably the early part of March, make a selection, do the physicals, have the paperwork done, so when the State Fire Academy says they're ready to go, we have the paperwork, we're ready to go, we can send them in, we're guaranteed some slots.
Paul, we put these people all through this and do this. Some of them are they can live within a 10-mile radius.
For the call fire department, it's a 1 mile radius.
1 mile
It's a
radius?
1 mile radius.
I mean, do we go through all this and then some of them choose to go to the town that they're living in?
Yes.
They do?
Yeah. I mean,
Is that many?
we two firefighters, one's still on the department. He just got hired by Long Meadow full-time.
Yeah.
Some of them, that's their ultimate goal, to get a full-time job.
An ongoing topic leaves the Board of Selectmen to plan again. The old fire station is back on the agenda. The station was approved to be given back to the J.C.'s. Now it's time to discuss the lease agreement.
When a community has property that it wishes to lease or to sell,
Yep.
before they can do that, the board or the municipal entity in charge of that land needs to publicly declare that the property is not required for any other municipal purpose. And once that determination is made, that frees up the property to be put out to either sale or lease or whatever the desires of the community are. So this situation, that it may have been done. If it hasn't done, it needs to be done. And once that's done, then we can move forward with a short-term lease of 2 or 3 years to the J.C.'s.
Make sure that it's in there that we're going to be checking in every month.
The board has the right, or the town has the, independent of the normal municipal inspections by health or building or fire or any of
Okay.
those, but
Okay.
you as the landlord have the right on 24 hours' notice to go in and inspect the property.
Got it.
At
Okay.
reasonable time, so it's
Sorry.
there.
Another ongoing topic, the 10-acre land donation off of Chestnut Street from local residents. The Board of Assessors are all for it. However, the Planning Board disagrees and hopes that the town does not accept.
Apparently, the planning board is concerned that the acceptance of the land with conservation, for conservation purposes, would be too restrictive in that it would be limited to walking trails, and they're opposed to it at this point in time, but would be willing to accept it if it were a general donation to the town. And then we're still waiting for a response from the Open Space Committee and the Conservation Committee with respect to where they are.
Switching to a different meeting,
The school committee met with the Capital Planning Committee to discuss the capital project request for the 2017 fiscal year.
We're looking for a single priority list from all the East Long Meadow Public School capital requests. And I see that that's been submitted to us, so we have that. So if we want, we can start by going down the list.
Sure.
We're looking at district-wide wheelchair accessible minibus. That's pretty self-explanatory. I've read through the material that you provided, and it shows the need and the current condition of the bus and the need for the growth and the new bus. I don't know if the committee has any questions regarding the information that was submitted. No, so I think we're okay with that one.
Although there is not enough money in the budget for the Capital Planning Committee to accommodate all of the items in the school committee's prioritized list, the school committee said it is crucial to show the need and the urgency of the projects.
Meadowbrook replaced portable modular classrooms with permanent structures. Now, this is something that is a high cost value. This is something that we can certainly look at, but I think this is an item that's going to require a lot bigger group than ours to address. This issue alone is going to require some additional funding sources, and not one that we can actively recommend with our current funding sources.
I think if I can jump in, Mr. O'Connor, we definitely are exploring other creative means of funding the larger items on this list. But we thought it was very important that the Capital Planning Committee know what we have on our list. Even though we know that some of these figures cannot be funded, it was important that you had our information. It was, as we go forward in possibly more creative ways.
Yeah, I think the bigger picture needs to be addressed maybe by your board, our board, appropriations, possibly the Board of Selectmen, and even DPW.
Right, correct.
I think that's a group that probably needs to come to a meeting of the minds to set forth a plan for the future of the town.
Frustrating to us that we can't do what you're asking.
Oh, we understand that.
Well,
We appreciate that.
really,
yeah.
really.
It's going to take a debt exclusion of some sort. There's really no way around it. It's going to be a significant number. It's going to depend on outside funding, whether we ever qualify for MSBA, Massachusetts School Board Authority funding or not, or whether we go it alone. But at some point, we're going to have to collectively address at least 4 of the 5 buildings soon. We're going in a major multi-million-dollar way. There's a reality to that fact because they're in need of some major work.
Yeah.
So.
I know one of the things that we try to spend time looking at too is the maintenance of our current infrastructure. And we know how important it is. If we let things go for too long, it gets to the point where you can't repair them, now they need to be replaced.
Right.
And of course, that has a substantial cost to it as well. So, I mean, we're aware of that, and we certainly take that in consideration when we look at things. I know you've submitted a lot of new projects, and it's obvious from the list that you've submitted that you feel that there's a need to do something on a bigger scale with those, and that's why they're all listed for this year.
Right.
Generally, what we do here in our committee is we don't look at something that's on a first-year request for a 5-year capital plan. If it comes on this year, unless it's has an urgent public safety issue.
Right.
Well, I think the only new ones on this year are the leaking roofs, right?
Right, which just came
Interior and
about.
So those are
exterior.
just
Yeah,
because
that's
of.
quite
We
a,
had a new.
Yeah, that because they were recently inspected. Bruce was
Right.
on the roofs with
Right.
we had an outside inspection, so they're certainly a need. I mean, it's a legitimate need. Just because they weren't on for the 5-year plan, it's only because we just got up there and looked at them and they're leaking and they need replacement. So you can see by our numbering that we believe that they're really a high priority. So I would say that the ones that are added this year for the first time are just because of that.
A plan is in place. Now we just need more collective effort to kind of put the whole thing together. So something's going to be happening towards the end of January. I think the timeline we see in the probation committee was February. So by the end of January, we're going to have probably a pretty substantial plan together.
yeah, the sooner the better, I mean, from our perspective too, so that when we put together our recommendations and submittals to appropriations, we know where the other projects stand, so that we can look at funding or not funding.
Right.
After capital planning, the school committee adjourned and moved forward with a regular meeting. one that was filled with great news. Big Y donated $500 to the schools of East Longmeadow.
Now turning to the Board of Library Trustees meeting. Future events are in the works that will be put on by the Friends Group.
The Friends Group is a nonprofit organization that supports the library's activities and raises money for the items that the library needs.
This year, get ready for a family-oriented event that will sure be a hole-in-one. An indoor golf tournament is in the works for March.
Friends had a meeting on Monday. What they have come across as from that other libraries have done is an indoor miniature golf fundraiser. They decided to schedule it for March 5th. It will take place here between 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
That's a Saturday, right?
It is a Saturday.
Okay.
It's called A Whole Lot of Fun, and it's whole, H-O-L-E, a whole lot of fun. The event itself is free, but of course they are open to any donations. The friends are trying to get maybe some sponsors to help with some of the costs, because there is some upfront cost with regards to it.
So a business could sponsor a whole.
That's right.
The board also discussed another idea from the Friends Group, the Great Decisions Program.
The interest for people who are politically minded or are interested in politics and foreign policy in particular. The Friends are helping to provide the finances needed in order to get the booklets.
Right,
and
the materials that go along to help people prepare for the topic, you know, for the meetings. There been quite a few libraries in the area over the years that are doing this program called Great Decisions, and the reference staff and I thought that this being an up-and-coming election year, as if we don't know, it would be a really good opportunity to, you know, participate in this program. And, you know, it just gets people together talking about it. And it will be advertised in the Reminder, probably in the Springfield Republican. You know, for us, it's set to start on February 2nd, but there'll be a lot of information about it in the paper. And also, the meetings require a participant who would like to be a moderator. So once this is advertised and, you know, it's generating some interest, if anyone is interested in moderating one of the discussions, to get in touch with the reference staff upstairs in the library. Just for an example, Middle East alliances, the rise of ISIS, the future of Kurdistan. You know, remember, it's put on by the Foreign Policy Administration. So all these topics are going to have to do with, you know, foreign policy related issues. The Koreas, climate change, Cuba and the United States, you know, the relations between the two countries. So a lot of really, and important and relevant and in the news kind of things.
Interested in planning events like this and helping the community? Any patron of East Longmeadow Public Library is eligible to become a friend. When you join, your membership will include great community discounts along with museum passes, a new exciting upgrade to the membership.
These are the museum passes that are provided by at the library by through the courtesy and efforts of the Friends Group. Right. What are they?
The Springfield Museums, the Berkshire Museum in Pittsfield, Eric Carle Museum in Amherst, Historic Deerfield, Mystic Aquarium in Connecticut, the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Smith College Museum of Art, and then there's the USS Constitution Museum. I wanted to make sure that it was understood it's not Old Ironsides itself. So it's the museum. It's Building 22 in Boston. And then the zoo at Forest Park. So those are courtesy of the Friends. Become a member and you have that available.
That's wonderful.
That is terrific.
That is a wonderful thing that you guys do.
Also at the Board of Library Trustees meeting, a heartwarming farewell to Library Director Susan Peterson. Peterson will be retiring at the beginning of this new year.
We move to your report, Susan, the director's report. I have one item to insert with the permission of the board. And that is a comment about, this would be Susan's last Library Board of Trustees meeting. And it's with heavy heart that I say that, because we've already talked about how much we all will miss you and the town will miss you. You have been just a wonderful library director, and we have been blessed to have you working on our behalf and on behalf of everyone in the town.
ELCAT sits down with Peterson to talk about her time here in East Long Meadow. Serving as the EL Public Library Director for over 11 years and 40 years in the business, Peterson has seen a lot of improvements.
The first library I worked in was a work-study when I was in college, and I worked there in the undergraduate school library for 2 years. And at that point, you know, I didn't really know what I wanted to do for a living, and the librarian there said, you know, when you're a librarian, you don't have to be an expert in any one thing, you just have to be interested in a lot of things and know where to find all those things. I thought about it and I said, you know, that kind of fits my personality. So, you know, that's when I started out. But then after that, the bulk of the 40 years probably has been in public libraries, but I did spend quite a few years working in various college and university libraries too. Since the new building opened in 2004, and I came here about 6 months after that, it wasn't very long before, you know, when they say build it and they will come, it really is true, because that's what happened. And of course, you know, we increased our circulation by more than twice, and then throughout the years we have maintained that level, you know, despite the different changes, the different directions people are going in to find their information. So I'm really proud of that. You know, I'd like to see that continue.
After a successful and rewarding career, Peterson is looking forward to retiring.
I've been a longtime member of the Appalachian Mountain Club and other hiking groups, you know, in the area, and I want to do more of that. I want to spend more time outside. I like to camp and backpack and whatever, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, read more. You know, one of the things that we suffer from being librarians is that when you're in this line of work, you know, you're constantly reading things all day long, and you don't have the time or the energy or whatever to read as much as you might like when you're not on the job. So that now that I won't be doing this anymore, I hope I have the time to read the big stack of books that I have waiting for me. Just like to thank all the residents of East Long Meadow for allowing me the opportunity to be their library director, and also the Board of Library Trustees. It's been a great board to work with. And our Friends of the Library group, who have provided us a lot of monetary and physical support throughout the last 10, 11 years, you know, for all that they do for the library.
With a new year comes a new Charter Commission review. The committee worked vigorously at its latest meeting to complete a PowerPoint presentation that will highlight the charter itself for the January 7th public hearing.
Each committee member will present key points within the articles of the charter. A handout will be available for the public to follow along with during the slideshow. Questions are welcome at the end in order for the committee to clear up any misinformation.
We were talking about fact-checking, myths. You know, there's some basic ones. This is not charter cable television. I mean, there are just some things here. How do we want to run that? Just take it as they speak and ask their questions, and
I think you let everybody have their say, and then at the very end, we'd say, we'd like to correct some misconceptions. Yeah.
Or do we correct them as we know, because then we could engage?
Because that would take forever.
Plus it'll take time to research.
Right, some of the misconceptions and myths may come out of the questions, and you can take care of it there. Anything that's missed in a wrap-up.
Yep.
Let's see what the feedback is, and then we go from there.
For local news, we have two East Long Meadow natives who are creating a lot of buzz in the media.
First, Bruins player Frank Vetrano from East Long Meadow marked the Bruins' first hat trick since 2008. Hat trick meaning 3 goals in 1 game.
Our next local star is Kelsey Murphy, who has recently been accepted into NBC's PAGE program, a program that has a 1.5% acceptance rate. Murphy will be working on Saturday Night Live, The Tonight Show, and more.
For more local news, Mario's Cafe Ambiance will be opening this week on 60 Shaker Road.
We just want it perfect when we open up the doors, and that's exactly where we almost have it. Tonight will be our first trial run. Tonight our liquor license isn't gone through yet, but it's BYOB. It's New Year's Eve. We have entertainment, and I'm just so happy to be able to open. I know there's a lot of Italian restaurants in the area, but ours it's a little different. It's like I told this woman, she just did an interview, it looks familiar, but it doesn't taste familiar. It's upscale, it's just done a little different than everybody else.
Now moving into library learning,
where we let you know what events are coming up next at the EL Public Library.
East Long Meadow is jumping into 2016 with a hit movie that is. First, the popular Minions movie is coming out to the library on Saturday, January 2nd at 1 p.m. The PG-rated film will be a family adventure filled with action and comedy. No registration is required, and the event is free to the public.
Also at the library, a new program that adults will look forward to, a cookbook club. Participants are asked to choose a recipe to bring in for other members to enjoy. Registration is required, so hurry into the library. January 4th is the last day to sign up.
We will end tonight with public service announcements.
First, nomination papers are available for the April 2016 local town election. All nomination papers are available at the town clerk's office and need to be returned with the required 50 signatures of registered voters by January 26. For more information, stop in at the town hall.
Second, holiday trash information. The Board of Health announced that residents may put out one additional container or trash bag out from now until January 4th at no charge.
Speaking of trash, throwing out Christmas trees is causing a big problem for one East Longmeadow resident.
An East Longmeadow resident on Hunting Road requested the Board of Selectmen to allow a no dumping sign for her property. The board reviewed the resident's concern and will need to discuss the issue further with the Director of Public Works, Robert Parent, due to certain circumstances.
Okay, the next item is one of our residents. I believe this is more than, this isn't the first year that she was looking for a no dumping sign at the Hunting Road, Allen Street area because of the Christmas trees end up on her land, and she ends up cleaning up the subsidiary materials like broken decorations and things. But there is a no dumping sign there, from what I understand in reading this. It just doesn't say no dumping Christmas trees. So I know, unless I'm mistaken, going through this, Bob Parent suggested that before we take any further action, that we get their input. As far as, what to do with this, because you would think a no dumping sign is a no dumping sign.
Isn't it usually on the first 3 feet anyway, that the trees are placed? Doesn't that belong to the city, to the town?
Well, it does unless but if the town's not gonna clean up the mess that's left over after they pick up the trees.
Maybe we should clean it up.
But I gotta, through the chair, I gotta tell you, because I live down there.
Yeah.
That sign they put up is kind of a nuisance. I've been getting calls from several people down that street.
Okay.
Because when you pull out and you look right to see if traffic's coming.
You can't see.
You can't see because there's
That's
3
right.
signs there now. And since they put this one up, it caused a problem.
Well, that will do it for us tonight on this edition of ELCAT News Update.
Be sure to watch meetings on demand at our ELCAT YouTube channel, ELCAT 01028.
Follow us on Facebook and watch us on cable channel 191. I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Allie Carrington. Until next time, good night.